All right, we are live. Come on in, one and all. Great to have all of you. I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend. Let me know the sound is okay, that you hear me all right. We had a major vote in Switzerland today. It was a referendum to ban burqas, and it passed. This is a national referendum on a nationwide ban on Islamic burqas. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive into this. We're going to look precisely at why this referendum passed, why the Swiss have passed a burqa ban. So come on in, one and all. It's really fascinating stuff going on in Europe. For Remp, hello, True Lightning Striker. Switzerland ain't taking any crap. Amen to that. Isaby, yay, hell yes. Look at you guys. Based AF, look at you guys. Come on in. Great to have you here. Yeah, this was an amazing vote today in Switzerland. It was, again, a nationwide referendum on whether to ban facial coverings in public. And of course, that included burqas, and everybody knew it going into it, and it passed. So Switzerland can be added to other nations like the Netherlands and France, who are banning burqas from their nation. And as such, they believe they are reclaiming Western civilization from globalism. So it's really fascinating stuff. And that's what I want to talk with you tonight. Before we get started, we've got some great news. We got a big week here at Turley Talks this week, gang. We got a big week. We got, for our live Q&A on Thursday night, March 11th, we've got the one and only Dick Morris coming in to talk with us. Dick is going to be online Thursday night, live, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and you are going to be able to ask him your questions. We're so excited Dick is coming to visit us. And as a bit of a warm-up to that, tomorrow night, Monday night, what is that, the 8th, Brian Brown of the International Organization for the Family, he'll be with us to answer your questions about the renewal of conservative policies going on all over the world. Brian hangs out with the movers and shakers. We're talking Matteo Salvini, Viktor Orban, you name it. He hangs out with the movers and shakers of worldwide nationalist populism. So he'll be with us on Monday night, and Dick Morris will be with us on Thursday night. Now, these live Q&As are only for our Insiders Club members. So all you need to do, if you're not a member of our Insiders Club, is to click on the link down below and you can sign up. And as a special incentive, as if you needed one, right, you're going to get your first week absolutely free. Hey, Madeline, thank you. Thank you, Madeline. Very appreciated. I love that little emoji. So you get your first week absolutely free, and you get to come in and ask Brian tomorrow night your questions, and you get to ask Dick Morris your questions on Thursday night. And the following week, you're going to love this. This is going to make you stay a member. We got the one and only Sebastian Gorka coming in. So, gang, look, you're never going to have an opportunity like this again to sit down and talk with some of the biggest and brightest leaders of the patriot movements going on all over the world. Our Insiders Club is your backstage pass to having direct access to these leaders. I get giddy when I'm talking with them, and you will too. So make sure to click on that link below, become an Insiders member, get your first week absolutely free, no obligations. You can cancel at any time, but I know I'm going to see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for a live Q&A with Brian Brown, and Thursday night for a live Q&A with Dick Morris. You're going to absolutely love it. All right, gang, let's dive right into it, shall we? The nation of Switzerland held a referendum today, and it asked voters whether they wanted to impose a law banning face coverings, which, of course, included burqas and niqabs. Niqabs are a modified burqa in public places throughout the entire nation. And it has just been announced the referendum passed. It is officially passed. Swiss voters have voted to officially ban burqas from being worn in public places throughout Switzerland. Okay, it was a close vote, I must say. At this point, they have it at 51.2% to 48.8%. And it was a referendum that was pushed and supported by Switzerland's ruling Nationalist Populist Party, known as the Swiss People's Party. They're also known as the SVP. You can think of the Swiss People's Party as sort of Switzerland's version of National Rally in France, or the Freedom Party in Austria, the Law and Justice Party in Poland, or Fidesz in Hungary. Many people don't know, but the nationalist right Swiss People's Party, the SVP, they are actually the single largest party in the Swiss Federal Assembly. They've won more seats than any other party ever in every, I should say, federal election since 2007. It's a party that's also been around for a while. They've been around even before the financial crisis of 2008. They were actually founded way back in 1936 as a farmers and industrial workers party. So they've always been very populist. They've always been very much representative of the worker as over and against the permanent political class. But over time, the SVP, the Swiss People's Party, they began absorbing all the other nationalist, populist, patriot factions and parties into itself. And it became, as it were, sort of the connective tissue for all things, Swiss patriot, all things nationalist, populist, and traditionalist in Switzerland. And these efforts have paid off. They've culminated in massive electoral success going all the way back to 2007. Every single year, the SVP just keeps coming back as the number one party in Switzerland. They won an astonishing 29% of the vote in their multi-party federal elections back in 2007, making them by far the strongest party in the National Council, the federal parliament in Switzerland. They repeated their success again 4 years later in 2011 by winning almost an identical 27% of the vote. They did again in 2015 by winning 30% of the vote. And then their last election, where they lost some seats in 2019, they still came out with a very impressive and the highest percentage, and that is 26%. So they are by far the largest party in the Swiss federal government. So without question, the Swiss People's Party has been perhaps the single most long-term successful nationalist populist right-wing party in Europe. Certainly it's right up there with Viktor Orban's Fidesz party and their three-peat, right? Their threefold successive election victories. Now, this referendum to ban facial coverings isn't the first time Swiss voters have voted like this. So back in 2018, thank you, Mike. Thank you very much. I'll keep up the good work as long as I have guys like you. Absolutely. Thank you, Earl Lucky. Yeah, forgive me too when you put up the super chats and I don't look down to see my computer is down there, but my camera is up there. So I can't necessarily, I'll have to do a better setup sometime. I'm not the most tech savvy person, that's for sure. But regardless, like I said, this referendum to ban burqas is not the first time Swiss voters have done this. Back in 2018, the Swiss state, or their cantons, as they're called, the Swiss canton of St. Gallen in northeastern Switzerland, they held a referendum and voted overwhelmingly by a 2/3 margin to ban face coverings characteristic of the Islamic burqa. Originally, again, the right-leaning parliament there in St. Gallen, dominated by the Swiss People's Party, they proposed the ban, but it was challenged by parties on the political left, so it went for a referendum, direct democracy among the people, and 70,000 people came out to vote in favor of the measure. It was pretty impressive. So St. Gallen's Burqa Ban, that was actually preceded by another ban, also backed by the SVP, the Swiss People's Party. This is going back in 2009, where the Swiss voted to officially pass a referendum to alter their constitution so as to ban the construction of minarets, right, which is the Islamic mosque towers within their nation. Mosques are in Switzerland, but they are not allowed to have minarets. Isn't that fascinating? And again, the vote tally was very similar here. Nearly 60% approved the ban. And once again, this proposal by the SVP, the Swiss People's Party, their reasoning was fascinating here. Minarets are a sign of Islamization. That's what the Swiss People's Party argued. Minarets are a sign of Islamization. It's a fascinating rationale. And what they meant by that is the Swiss People's Party recognized the importance of space and architecture for a people's identity, for their cultural identity. So if you see scenic, picturesque settings of German towns or medieval towns in Italy or France, or the majestic buildings in St. Petersburg in Russia, or the Kingdom of Liechtenstein, whenever you look at those pictures, you're gazing at the glories of European Christendom, right? Space, particularly architectural space, creates a sense of identity, a sense of place within this world. The SVP, the Swiss People's Party, recognized that. And so because of that, they successfully argued that Switzerland should never look like Saudi Arabia. Switzerland should not look like Yemen. Amen to Yemen. Amen to Saudi Arabia. Hey, more power to you, right? But Switzerland is not Saudi Arabia. And they had no intention of confusing the architectural landscape of Switzerland precisely because they have no intention of confusing the identity of the Swiss people. Isn't that fascinating? How we organize space, how we keep time, right? Christmas, Easter, sacred Sundays, festivals, how we dress. Yes, our fashion, all come together to forge a sense of identity and place in this world. And the Swiss People's Party is absolutely committed to protecting and perpetuating a uniquely Swiss identity through uniquely Swiss cultural practices. That includes space in terms of the ban on minarets, and that includes even dress and fashion in terms of the ban of burqas. And for many Swiss, that means, of course, minarets, burqas have no place. Now, of course, all the political and cultural leftists tonight are going crazy. They're accusing the Swiss of, Islamophobia and racism and xenophobia and the like. Here's just a quote I just found. I think this is on BBC. This is a leading Swiss Islamic group. They said, today was a dark day for Muslims in Switzerland. Today's decision opens old wounds, further expands the principle of legal inequality, and sends a clear signal of exclusion to the Muslim minority. This was from the Central Council of Muslims in an official reaction statement. I wonder if they have common sentiments towards Saudi Arabia with Christians, but that's another video, right? And of course, they're not alone. You're already seeing the mainstream media go nuts. They're going full woke on Switzerland right now. But this woke rhetoric, this deference to politically correct frames of reference, it is all for naught, as you can see. It's all becoming, particularly in Europe, less and less effective as we move more and more into a new political worldwide order characterized by nationalism, populism, and traditionalism. In other words, the charges of all kinds of phobia simply refuse to deal with head on the issues that the nationalist populist right, like the SVP, the Swiss People's Party, raise on a daily basis. Does culture matter? Does civilizational identity and inheritance matter? Do borders matter? Does the architecture of a nation or a city matter in relation to the kind of cultural inheritance that identifies a population? Are the cultural practices indicative of a particular European identity worthy of being protected and defended? Do migrants have a responsibility of accommodating the culture to which they've emigrated, or is that culture now responsible for accommodating the migrants? Does it matter if the migrants are coming from parts of the world that has little culturally to do with the host culture? Are we even allowed to ask these questions in such a politically correct environment? You see, whether the political left likes it or not, these are the very questions that are being asked by more and more Europeans throughout the continent. And frankly, more and more European populations are not buying the accusatory and defamatory answers that the political woke left is giving. Nor are they intimidated by the slanderous labels the political left hurls at them when they reject those answers. And there's a fundamental reason why they're not buying it anymore. Now, I'm going to get into that in a sec, but if you just joined us, you are invited to our exclusive live Q&A this week with our special guest, the one and only Dick Morris, who'll be with us to answer your questions on Thursday night live, March 11th, and Brian Brown of the World Congress of Families. He'll be with us tomorrow night, March 8th, both at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, these live Q&As are exclusive for Insiders Club members, which you can join simply by clicking on that link below. And for a limited time, you're going to get your first week absolutely free, okay? No obligation. Now, we'd love for you to stay because the following week, we got Sebastian Gorka coming in to answer your questions. You have direct access to. And we like to think of our Insiders Club as your backstage pass to the movers and shakers of worldwide patriot movements going on all over the place. So you're not going to have another opportunity like this one. This is amazing. You get to interview them. You're going to get to ask them your questions. And all you got to do is click on that link below, become an Insiders member. You get your first week absolutely free. And I'll see you Monday night and Thursday night for our live Q&As. Isn't that cool? All right. So why are nations like Switzerland no longer intimidated by wokeness? Why are they pushing back against political correctness and passing Burqa bans? By the way, I have planned as one of our videos tomorrow, Gen Z is pushing back big time on the Dr. Seuss banning. It's really interesting. You go on TikTok, they are pissed. They are really upset at that. They think this is absolutely absurd. So political correctness looks like it's becoming very, very brittle as we speak. All right. So what's going on particularly in a nation like Switzerland? Well, it's something that's going on all over the world at different degrees and different strengths and different, advancements and the like. And it's something we talk a lot about on our channel. It's what a number of philosophers and scholars have called retraditionalization. And they argue that that's exactly where it's a dynamic that is characteristic of much of the world. Much of the world is currently going through retraditionalization. And what that basically is retraditionalization calls the bluff of woke globalism. It basically sees secular, political, correct, progressive values. They've just overplayed their hand. They've gone too far. Their overreach in terms of how much populations are willing to tolerate has exhausted itself, and now there's a cultural backlash, and it's fierce. Populations are increasingly openly re-embracing their respective cultures, customs, and traditions as mechanisms of resistance against this radical globalist overreach. This is why accusing the Swiss of Islamophobia is only going to make the Burqa ban more popular. This is why the more the corporatists woke out there who try to ban Mr. Potato Head and ban doctors, they're just making themselves more and more objects of a massive backlash, an anti-politically correct backlash. And we're seeing it all over the place. It's really quite fascinating. Here's some examples, right? Hungary's government, led by Prime Minister Viktor Orban, has officially declared its commitment to revitalize Christian Western civilization. They call themselves civilizationalists, and they are pushing back against the globalist political correctness of Brussels, where the capital of the EU, the European Union. And instead, they said, we want to renew the Christian civilization that has marked the Hungarian people for 1,000 years. Poland, under the leadership of the Law and Justice Party, particularly their president, Andrzej Duda, has formally declared Jesus Christ as Lord and King over their nation in a national mass publicized on public television to the nation. India is currently experiencing a massive Hindu nationalist revival led by what's called the Bharatiya Janata Party. We talk a lot about them on our channel, the BJP, led by Narendra Modi, the prime minister. That is the single largest Democratic party on the planet. Okay, if you guys think this world is going to hell in a handbasket, just remember that this, by far, the single largest Democratic party on the planet that won twice the single biggest landslide victories of any Democratic election ever held on this planet is a thoroughly right-wing Hindu nationalist party. In the Russian Federation, the Orthodox Church has risen to a prominence not seen since the days of the czars. In Latin America, nation after nation, we're talking El Salvador, Colombia, Paraguay, and of course, most especially Brazil, which is the election of Jair Bolsonaro, the tropical Trump. They are turning away from the Marxist globalism that dominated the region for the last 40 years, and they're re-embracing their conservative cultures, customs, and traditions that give them a unique identity and transcendent meaning in life. And so, more and more populations are simply no longer convinced by this rhetoric that says that this left-wing rhetoric that says if you stand up for your cultural identity and your civilizational inheritance, then by definition, you're a xenophobe. Or by definition, you're a Neanderthal or a bigot or a racist or whatever other label they want to come up with. Calling your opponent a bunch of names when they're raising very serious and very significant questions that human populations have raised for centuries, responding to them by calling them knuckle draggers, but by just calling them names shows that the left has become intellectually and culturally bankrupt. And as the passing of this referendum in Switzerland just today suggests, that bankruptcy has officially run its course. More and more European nations are beginning to make Europe great again. All right, gang, we got a great week ahead of us. I'm so excited about our videos, and I'm so excited about our guests for our live Q&A. So before you do anything, right before you leave, make sure to click on that link below and join our Insiders Club, where you're going to have exclusive access to Dick Morris this Thursday night to ask him your questions. He'll be with us live on Thursday night, March 11th. And Brian Brown at the World Congress of Families, he'll be with us tomorrow night, March 8th, to warm us up for the week, both at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. They're also recorded, so if you miss them, you'll be able to go back. But you, of course, won't be able to ask your questions directly. You get direct access to both of them. These are live Q&As. They are held exclusively only for our Insiders Club members. You can join it by clicking on the link below. And for a limited time, just to sweeten the deal, right? You're going to get your first week absolutely free. So you can join us. No obligation. You have access to people like Dick Morris. We got Sebastian Gorka coming in next week. So you're not going to have another opportunity like this one to sit down with the movers and shakers of the Patriot movement going on all over the world. So click on that link below. Become an Insiders Club member with your first week absolutely free. And I will see you Monday night and Thursday night for our live Q&A. All right, gang. God bless. Great chatting with you. Have a good night.